Hello, everyone. I'm Charlie, and welcome back to another DraftKings DFS Slate breakdown. Apologies for how close this video is getting uploaded to lock here. I've had no internet access for all of Thursday, all of Friday. Finally got it back this morning. I was having trouble sleeping last night. I was going to have to be up for the Chelsea game, Chelsea Forest game. I wasn't going to have a video at all, at least of those things. I thought, screw it. Let's churn one of these previews out here. We're just after international break too, so that was another motivating factor. Of course, this Forest Chelsea game, as well as all the international game slates we just had. We had World Cup qualifiers, international friendlies, covered it all in the FSI Discord, which can be accessed in the website. It can be accessed through a link in the website, linked below. You can tell I'm a little out of practice here after that break. But yeah, guys, this slate here, Man City minus 200 favorites here. They are the big favorites on the slate here. And minus 200, that isn't really that crazy. Like the World Cup qualifier slates we just had, we had like games in San Marino, which was like minus 1,000, minus 10,000, not even odded on DraftKings. So minus 200 is a big favorite, but like in comparison, like a 60% chance of winning or something. So it's not anything really crazy here. You kind of really get that into perspective after playing those just super, super lopsided international games. But literally every single other game on this slate is plus odds. I think is super fun here. It's a super interesting dynamic. In terms of our goal contribution odds, as expected, we see City, Holland minus 180. No surprise there. Everyone else versus City kind of hovering around like that plus 100-ish range if you're an attacker. All the other games, Mateta, Asara, both with decent odds there. Semenyo too, of course, who's been red hot form. Brighton and Newcastle. Bunch of guys like plus 100. Like really, everyone's kind of just plus hovering around that plus 100 mark here, except for the Sunderland Wolves game, which kind of makes sense since the goal total is low. Is the goal total is lower there, so it's more like plus 150-ish here compared to the plus 100 in some of the other games. But yeah, plus 100s-ish for this Burnley Leeds game. Like not a ton to talk about here, just because of how even most of these games are. Projected lineups and set pieces, let's talk about now. For Brighton, it should be mostly Ayari in this team, maybe the Kuiper or Minte split. It is after that international break too, so you see teams switch up a lot of times just because they've had a little bit more time to practice here. They'll want to change up their set piece routines. For Newcastle, it should be mostly Tonali. Maybe Elanga takes here and there, maybe Trippier takes here and there. But like, actually, scratch that. I said mostly Tonali, but like Trippier, Elanga, wouldn't be surprised if either of those guys ended up with a larger share than they've been taking. You just can't really predict them right now. They're a team that is unpredictable on the best of days. Now you've had a national break. Who knows what they do now? But yeah, those three guys will be some combo of them likely. Even Gordon, I'd throw his hat in the name there too. Just tough to predict. Burnley and Leeds. Burnley should be Hartman and Anthony. Leeds should be mostly. Oh wait, there's no. Oh no, mostly Longstaff. Sorry. And maybe Jack Harrison splits since he's projected because Okafor, of course, is out or doubtful at least. And Stosh has taken here and there some good Munson, but it has been Longstaff's team as of late. Palace and Bournemouth. Palace should be Kamada and Warden if we're going off what they've been doing. Pino, however, has taken quite a bit. And I'd watch out for Borna Sosa. If he starts left wing back, super attacking set piece, taking left wing back if he's in. Bournemouth should be some combo of Tavernier, Kluivert, and Scott in this team. Tavernier should have one side here with David Brooks out, and then it'll be a bit of a coin flip whether Kluivert or Scott splits with him. Man City now. Man City should be mostly Phil Foden. Maybe Rangers goes like a full split, but Foden will have something, just whether it's like a monopoly, like 50 to 75%. And then Everton should be Dewsbury Hall and James Garner. Sunderland and Wolves. Sunderland should be mostly Trey Hume and Shaka splitting. Liffey take some free kicks here and there, though. And Wolves should be mostly John Arias unless Hugo Bueno ends up splitting. All right, now let's go into our pricing here. Holland is at 11K. He's just an enigma. He just pretty much feels like he scores every game. However, there are still like tempting ways to get off of him just because if he gets one goal, like that's usually the result. He has like 12 points typically. He doesn't have a ton of floor. However, that's when he gets those like 2 or 3 goal contributions, 40 points. That's when he gets to be just you just gonna have to play him even at this 11K price tag. He's always just a tough decision here. I don't like to put him in core just because of that lack of floor but he's going to be super popular, and that's for a good reason. He's just the best player in the world right now, it feels like. After him, Semenya, a little bit pricey with that tough matchup, but he's a little bit more solid in terms of floor compared to a Holland. I'd likely go Holland over him unless you're in GPP formats. But they both have some utility to them. After that, like Doku, he's fine. Sar, a little bit pricey, but fine. Elanga, if you want to take a chance on him having a larger share of set pieces, I think that could be an interesting little read there. Jade Anthony, if he starts, he is questionable. He came out with an injury, I think, that last game before the international break. But he's been taking set pieces. He's been super awesome in terms of both goal contribution and floor. So I think he's a super, super tempting option. He's been priced up a decent amount here, but like Leeds at home, a pretty solid matchup for him, and he's been really good. Like I don't mind it, Anthony here. Minte, sure, I don't mind that. It 10 crosses. I think it was just all from open play, I believe, against Wolves too, where a lot of them were. Like he's a super fun player. He's a super solid option here as well. Look at that. Like he's been so consistent here in terms of floor. God, like more than 9 points, like 5 games straight. Have no complaints there whatsoever. Savinio, that's cheap city or pretty cheap season city exposure. I think that's bad play. Multimata and GVP formats, I think makes a ton of sense. Jack Harrison, you're gonna take a chance on him having set pieces if he starts. I think that's a super tempting guy as well. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to go here. I was super excited to film this video, so I'm happy I kind of got around to doing that. There's just so many really fun pieces to talk about, and it'll be a really fun plays from build construction here that we'll talk about a tiny bit at the end of the video. Evan Nielsen, 5K. Bournemouth starting striker. I think that's just cheap for him. Look how consistent his minutes are. I know he hasn't been getting it done in terms of goal contributions lately, but like you got to think he's going to come good eventually. He's in a good team with a good offense. You got to think he's just going to be a beneficiary of that at some point here and just put one in the net finally. Gordon, 4,400. I've been riding him quite a bit just because he's so cheap. He's been so cheap past like 3, 4 slates, and he's just been solid. Like I know nothing crazy here, but I get 11 floor against Aston Villa. These 4 and 5s aren't great, but they were against Liverpool and Forest, both pretty solid teams. Although Forest under Postecoglou could maybe are backsliding a little bit from that kind of Forest hard to break down nature. But saying that, like Gordon's a solid player. 4K is just underpriced for him. He's a solid option there. Fiber at 4,200, if you want to take a chance on him having set pieces. Like hard to argue against that at that price range. So yeah, there's like a ton of just really good forward options here. It's a fun slate. Midfielders now. Zacharias, of course, is out with it being a match against his lone club. Phil Foden at 7,700. Probably the first name in most builds just because he's just been solid. That's so much upside, so much floor with him having kind of this larger share of city sets. The only issue is that he can be a little bit volatile in terms of sub at times. Like it's hard to predict when he gets subbed. But if he goes 90, like I don't see why he can't drop 10, 15, 20 points for its goal contribution. So with this matchup, he's a super tempting option, probably the most tempting option after him. Like Tonali, if he takes, he's a great option. He's just so solid for floor. If they just give him set pieces, he'll get there. The only issue is that you just worry about him losing them at times a little bit. But like he's a hard guy to get off of when you look at those numbers. It's just the tough away match to Brighton is maybe the only thing that maybe dissuades you a little bit. Rangers, super tempting guy as well. Solid for floor, good for goal contributions. City exposure, super good for minutes typically. So yeah, solid option there. Jaka, a little bit pricey, but like home to Wolves, that's a solid little matchup to pick on. Tavernier with no Brooks, I think makes a ton of sense here. Ayari, 5,500, that's a bad option. Chirk, if he starts, we saw his goal contribution odds. He was the only other guy besides Holland who had minus odds. So yeah, I think that puts him, if he somehow starts in a really favorable spot. I don't know how fit he is coming back from injury is the only thing. Garner, it's a tough matchup. Dewsbury Hall, same thing. I think it's tough to get to those guys away to City here. Probably not where I'd go. And I'd maybe have like a 1% of them in GVP, like throw them into one build and call it a day. They're not being super ill. It's a tough matchup there. God at 4,800. If he ends up having sets over Clive, he makes a ton of sense. Jen Arias at 4,500. He's finally starting to kind of look up to be kind of the Arias I was really touting at the start of the season. Didn't really live up to expectations at first, But now, like last couple games, or even in a Monopoly, he's been super good. He's playing 90 minutes. Like I said, he might take over like that kind of Cunha role, or just being a 90-minute guy. He's their main threat. So I really like him. I'm seeing Marias right now. Sentinel's a really good matchup too. He's a super, super great midfield option here, especially at that discounted price tag. I missed somebody that I wanted to talk about. Let's see if I can find it. There he is, Sean Longstaff at 4,400. This guy's been awesome. He's kind of been what Stotch was at the beginning of the season. Of course, with his sets now, he has a ton of crosses, ton of key passes, ton of shots. Good for 90 minutes. Like he was getting floor before he even had set pieces, and now that he has the, he's just super, super solid here. Another just fantastic option at 4,400. Another just super cheap price tag. The only maybe caveat with him is that if Jack Harrison starts, the chance he goes to a split. However, that's not even guaranteed. So like, there's just not a ton wrong with the Sean Longstaff play at that price here. Below that, Kamada, Pino, take a chance on one of them having set pieces. Kamada, the more likely right now, I'd say. There's not a ton else here that I really want to talk about. There's kind of really, really great midfielders, just like Warner, where it's going to be a slate, or you can kind of really go whoever you want here because there's so many guys who can go for value, so many interesting payups that, yeah, it's going to be a fun slate. Going to be a lot of differentiation in builds based of how many really good options there are. I'm really excited for us. Defender now, Trippier 7,200. I think it's get offable with Tonali kind of having a larger share at times. Like 11 is solid from Trippier, but he's been priced up without really any really pop out numbers. He had that really good game against Wolves, but he goes to a Brighton away game now. It's a lot tougher than that. He's got a ton of clean sheet equity here that he's gotten two, so that's kind of inflated his forward a little bit. I don't really see Newcastle staying clean against Brighton, so you can't really count on those like 3 extra points that he's had a lot of these games. So 7,200, I think just a little bit pricey. However, we've seen how many like really cheap kind of bargain options there are that allows you to get up to a Trippier if you want to. So from that aspect, I think he makes some sense. I think he's just kind of a debatable play here. Most likely we talk about Trippier being like one of the first guys in. I just don't think that's the case here anymore. But he's still a solid option. Just 7K, a little bit pricey for me. Trey Hume, I think that's a solid little player there. I like picking from this Sunderland Wolves game just because a lot of these guys are lower priced than some of the equivalents of the other games. I know that they've got like the lowest goal equity in terms of this game compared to the others, just like the goal total and your odds to get a goal or an assist. But when you're playing for Flora, it doesn't matter a huge amount. Like Trey Hume, like he's going to get to 10 points probably anyway, even if this game is 0-0, it probably even helps him just because he gets that clean sheet equity. It'll be a pretty even back and forth flow. So yeah, Trey Hume I like a lot here. Then Quincy Hartman. This will be my core defender play saying now. I love the matchup. I love how solid he's been. Gets a ton of goal contributions, especially if they play him at left wing back like they have been. He's up the field a ton. He's my favorite defender on the slate. I really liked him ever since he came into the league. I've had him in this title game. I think I've picked him. I think every game I've had Kowinski Hartman. Oh, I think I faded him against Man City, and then he punished me because he's just that good. Like he had an assist you, and he didn't have any for. He's a fantastic player. I love Hartman. One of my favorite players in DFS right now. After him, it's a good Munson though, who if he ends up taking, it's just a bit of a long shot. He'd be good. Bueno, kind of same thing. Both these defenders are crossing fullbacks when they get the opportunity to be, and if they end up having set pieces, they become just super tempting options. Both of them just a little bit on the outside looking in that aspect, though. Just kind of the one thing there. In terms of kind of your cheap little punts, Borna Sosa I talked about a little bit when we're looking at projected lineups. If he starts, probably an auto start as well. The Kuiper at 3,800. He was very good for international break for Belgium. He takes a ton of corners for them. Doesn't kind of established himself in that role quite as much at Brighton yet. Like as you can see, 6'4" in 20 minutes is super solid away to Wolves. He's a really good kind of little cheap defender option here. After that, Chichua, not bad at 3,200. Muller Wolfie, if he starts at 3,100, had some corners at the start of the season, kind of out of favor now. But if he starts, hard to get the 3K fullback. Suaku, another dirt cheap fullback. He was super fun for Besiktas in like your Europa League slates. Kind of get to establish himself for Sunderland, really. He's been a little bit inconsistent for minutes, but like the floor's been there. Like he's getting, I don't know, he'd be on track for like 8 points if he went 90 in these games. Add a clean sheet on there, something like 12, maybe it's an assist somehow. Suddenly he's on like 15, 18 points for 2,900. So yeah, that's a little decent punt defender there. After him, Kyle Walker, 2,600. I know he hasn't been great, but if he continues to play in this right wingback spot, then his opportunities to get forward, get some goal contributions here, I think he could be pretty tempting. And after that, I think looking at center back punch, trying to pair them with a set piece taker in GPP lineups, trying to play for a goal off of a corner, as I always say. Already little game scripts with center backs. Goalkeeper now, crapshoot, but I'm just not going to even say anything. You know my thoughts on that in every video you've ever seen from me about goalkeepers. Now, in terms of a core, Foden is my first name in. I want to put Arias or Longstaff. It's just tough to decide between them. I think likely in cash lineups, most people are probably go all three of those guys. I think I'll be just super, super solid options that people are going to gravitate towards. I'm putting Hartman as my second core piece for now, though, just because I love the spot. And now I'm going to go John Arias as my third core piece, just because he's the home game versus Longstaff being the away. And if Jack Harrison doesn't indeed start, there's just a change of split there when Arias is likely to have Monopoly. That's kind of the only thing there. But both those guys, you can make an argument for either of them. And it is, like I said, you can just go both too. I have no issue with that whatsoever. Yeah, guys, fun looking slate here. I have to get this video uploaded, so I'm gonna end it pretty quickly. But yeah, that'll be it. I'll see you for the next one. Peace.